The psychopath test you can run on anyone. There is a test you can run on anyone in your life right now. It takes less than 5 minutes. It requires no psychology degree, and the results will tell you with disturbing accuracy whether the person you are thinking about right now has the capacity to genuinely care about what happens to you. Most people will never run this test because they are afraid of what the answer might be. Run it anyway. Here is why this matters more urgently than you think. Dr. Robert Hare, the psychologist who spent his career developing the definitive clinical assessment for psychopathy, estimates that approximately 1% of the general population meets the full clinical criteria. That sounds small. In the United States alone, that is 3.3 million people. In your professional network of 500 people, 5 individuals are using dark psychology and manipulation tactics on the people around them, with zero functional capacity to care about the damage they cause. And psychopathy is not randomly distributed. Research consistently shows that psychopathic individuals concentrate in environments that provide power, access, and influence. Corporations, politics, medicine, law, finance. The 1% figure is not the number you are dealing with in those environments. Here is the test, 4 components. Run all 4 before you draw any conclusion. The first component is the empathy probe. In a natural conversation, share something genuinely difficult that you are going through. Not a crisis. Something real but manageable. Something with emotional weight that a person who cares about you would register. Then watch what happens in the next 60 seconds. A person with functional empathy will orient toward your experience. Their body language will shift slightly toward you. They will ask a follow-up question about your situation before redirecting to themselves. A person without functional empathy will do one of 3 things. They will redirect to themselves within seconds. They will produce a response that appears empathetic but offers no actual engagement with the specific content you shared. Or they will move past the disclosure entirely as if it did not register. The psychopath has learned to perform empathy responses using dark psychology-level social mimicry. What they cannot produce consistently is the spontaneous content-specific engagement that genuine empathy generates. Watch for the timing and the specificity. Those are the 2 elements that are hardest to fake. The second component is the consequence observation. Over 4 to 6 weeks, observe how the person responds when their actions produce negative outcomes for others. A person with a functional conscience will show some version of discomfort when they cause harm, a measurable behavioral adjustment, an acknowledgement. Something indicating a negative outcome is registered as meaningful. A person without a functional conscience will move directly from the negative outcome to the next action, with no visible processing of the impact. They will explain the harm away, minimize it, or reframe it as the other person's problem. And they will make the same high-risk decision again in a different context because the negative outcome was not processed as feedback. You cannot perform a conscious response if you do not feel across multiple situations over time. This is the most reliable of the 4 components. The third component is the consistency check. Psychopathic personalities maintain different versions of themselves for different audiences. The version presented to authority figures differs from the version presented to peers. The version in conflict differs from the calm version. Ask people who interact with this person in completely different contexts how they would describe their personality. If the descriptions are so different that they seem to be describing different people, that degree of variation is data. The psychopath lacks a self that adapts to context. They have a set of performances calibrated to contexts, and the performances are so different that, in different contexts, outside observers often cannot believe they are talking about the same person. The fourth component is the boredom signal. This is the subtlest of the 4 and the most revealing. Psychopathic individuals have a neurologically documented need for stimulation that exceeds what normal social environments provide. The psychopathic brain responds differently to anticipated rewards than a neurotypical brain. In practical terms, this means the psychopathic individual is chronically understimulated by normal daily life. Watch for the person who consistently escalates situations that do not require escalation, who introduces conflict into environments where none existed, who seems energized by crisis in a way that others find disorienting, who becomes visibly flat and disengaged during periods of straightforward stability. That pattern is not a personality quirk, it is a neurological signature. Here is how to use the results. If one component produces a concerning result, you have a data point. If 2 or 3 produce concerning results, you have a pattern. If all 4 produce concerning results, you have a profile. A profile does not require a diagnosis. What it gives you is permission to trust what you have been feeling and to make decisions based on observable, documented evidence rather than hope. Here are 3 concrete steps. Run the empathy probe this week. Pick the person you are most uncertain about. Create a natural opportunity to share something with genuine emotional weight. Observe the response with specific criteria in mind. Timing, specificity, follow up. Document immediately afterward while the details are fresh. Start a behavioral log. For the next 30 days, note every instance where this person's actions produce a negative outcome for someone else and record their observable response. Not your interpretation, the observable behavior, what they said, what they did, what did not happen that you expected. Find the other version of them. Identify one person who interacts with them in a completely different context. Have a casual conversation. Ask how they would describe this person's personality. Listen for the degree of difference between that description and your own experience. That gap is your data. The next video in this series reveals something that directly connects to what you just learned. The specific psychological profile of the people who use these dark psychology manipulation tactics most effectively, and why they keep rising to power despite leaving damage everywhere they go. Watch the full series in order. The playlist is linked in the description. Every video builds on the last. Click the next one now. Drop one word in the comments describing the person you were thinking about during this video. One word. I read every single one.